Shi?
Here.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mrs. Peng?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Mrs. Patel?
Here.
Mrs. Conway?
Here.
Dr. Chen?
Here.
All present with Mr. Errico and Mrs. Maroney.
Opening statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Essex Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger on January 3rd, 2019. The public may participate at the regular meeting in accordance with bylaws and the applicable state regulations. Today is a special meeting, so we, because we have some other items we need to discuss urgently, so we call a special meeting today. So Dan?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Township of Essex as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding the district's security plan and the SLEO contract. Under personnel, we're going to be discussing resignations and terminations, retirements, appointments, leaves of absences, changes of status, reappointments, transfers, experience stipends, substitute staff, salary adjustments for non-certified staff, summer school, summer literacy academy, summer ESL testing stipends, extended school year, Secretary 3B summer appointments, summer guidance counselors, learning leaders, Title IIA, summer sports camps, coaching appointments, and coaching changes. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Okay. Can I have a
Did you mention new SLEO agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, so the summer meeting, as you all know, it's a combined meeting, a work meeting and a public session, so that's why we start at 6 o'clock. So then,
Okay.
can I have a motion to move to the closed session?
Oh,
Okay.
I'll be happy to, whatever.
Okay. Mrs. Conway, Mrs. Ward.
Move second.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes,
All yes.
so we'll be back probably at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Okay, so now let's go to the regular agenda. So first up, we have the approval of the minutes of June 12th and June 14th, and the board secretary's report. Do I have a motion on those two items? The minutes and the secretary. Okay, Mrs. Maroney, second, and Dr. Chen.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
All right, so before we actually get to the public comments on the resolution, so since Mr. Saxton is not here, Dan, can you do the honor of going
Sure.
through the items
Yep.
before we open up?
We
for-
handed out the personnel report.
Yes.
Everybody has a copy of that.
So, yes, you guys all have copy of the personnel report. So there are a couple items we want to table for this meeting because Mr. Saxton was not here. The board has some questions for him. So I'm going to table a couple appointments on this personnel report. First is page number 2. This is supervisor for middle school math. Okay, we're going to table that. All right. And the other is on page 7, all the transfers. We're going to table all those, the transfers from this personnel agenda. Okay, so page number 2 and page number 7, page number 2 is this particular position, supervisor middle school math, and all the transfers on page 7.
And 6.
And page 5. Change of status.
And then, okay, and page 5, we have a change of status for Nicholas Aquino, is that how I pronounce the name correctly? Yeah, from the assistant principal. Is this just, we just have some questions we want to ask Mr. Sexton, and a lot of them will be coming back on the agenda next Monday.
So
So
Mr. Shi
three
made the
items?
motion.
Okay. Yes,
Could I just ask a question? I'm just looking at it now. On page 5,
five.
the supervisor of social studies, it's a change of start date for Mark.
Yeah.
If
Page-
you go back to last month, it was already 8/1. If you look at the minutes, I meant to mention that before.
Margaret?
Margaret?
Well, the way it appeared in the agenda,
Margaret, can you?
I'm sure there's a difference, but I just can't see
Yeah,
it, and I tried.
I don't know how it was changed in the minutes, but the way it appeared in the agenda was July 1st. And we have Mr. Maleg continuing through the end of this month. So that's why I put it back on the agenda, so this way the correct date would be public.
Because see right here, it went from 9/1/19, 6:30 to 8/1/19, 6:30. And this one says from 7/1/19 to 6:30 to 8/1. So these two are the same.
They're identical. I don't know how it was changed in the minutes. I just know what appeared in the personnel report. I can touch base with Judy Cox tomorrow and
Thank you.
get something out to the board,
I
okay?
appreciate that.
Yeah, but the thing that his starting date is August
It's
1st.
August 1st,
Yes.
is what it's important.
Okay. All right, we clear? All right, so can I have a motion to table those, three items, right? I need a
Yeah,
motion.
you made the motion, didn't you?
Yes. No. Okay, okay. Second, okay, Dr. Chen. So Dan call it, so we're gonna call to vote on table these three items, okay?
Dr. Chen?
yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Ms. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Oh, yes, so those are tabled for the personnel vote.
Okay, so now let's go through the, all the items before
Okay.
we open up for public comments,
All right.
okay?
Okay, the first item we have some meeting dates for the fiscal year that were set up back when we had the reorg meeting. And some of the dates conflicted with either holidays or other meetings. So we have a few meeting dates we'd like to have changed by the board. It's listed in the agenda. I'm sure everybody's seen it.
Dan, could you just be a little more specific? That's October and December?
Yeah, October's
I realize
meeting
December.
and December's meeting, there were evidently was a conflict of some kind in the original dates that we set up.
The October ones?
October, yeah, those are the two dates that for some reason we had to change. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure if it had to do with the convention or what it was. I have to check with somebody to see what the story was, but I know there were two conflicting dates that needed to be changed.
So we have two combined meetings,
Yes.
okay?
Could you find that out first, please?
Yeah, the December one, we went through.
I know
the combined
December is
because-
ridiculous.
Yeah, yep. The October one, let's see, it's gonna go
October
into the
28th.
to the, let's see, it was on the.
I think it was right after the convention.
Oh, I think that's what the problem is with the conventions the
It
following
wa-
week.
I think it was like the Monday after the convention or something.
Yeah,
And it
I think
couldn't
it
be
was-
moved to another time?
Well, you don't wanna make it too early in the month, so, and the convention's the following week, I believe, so I think that's the reason why they went with a combined meeting.
Yeah, I think the convention's the 21st.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they did it, otherwise you'd have to wait until the, last week of the month. So, I know that Judy went
And
to,
December?
and December, the same thing, because of the Christmas holiday.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
there any chance of more flexibility on the December one? Could you look at the calendar?
Yeah. if
Back
you
it up a
can.
week or, s-
Make it earlier?
that's not a good night, for
Oh.
me anyway,
Oh,
you
okay.
know.
All right.
Yeah, let's pull the board members and, let's pull the board members and see what their preferences are. And then try to get everybody as obedient as possible.
I know it's
Especially-
hard to please everybody.
Especially, you're doing combined meeting, you got, all together. It's in
So
total.
December 18th is no good, because it was the 23rd, which is the half-day before the, Christmas Eve.
I know, I mean, I looked at the
So-
calendar.
So the
but-
23rd is a Monday, so the
Right.
18th would be the Wednesday
A
before?
Wednesday.
Correct, yes,
And they're combining the two of them on the 18th, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's not a good day.
The 18th is the good day, okay. All right, you want to make it Thursday the 19th then, or you want to make it Tuesday the 17th? I mean, I can change it right now, or we can vote on it tonight if everybody's calendars are okay.
December, so what's the proposal?
But right now, it's on Wednesday, the 18th of December.
Uh-huh,
You want to make it Tuesday or Thursday, or even Monday? I mean,
I don't care.
I'll be here for all of them, so
I
it
don't
doesn't matter to me.
I don't care. I really, it's no difference to me.
Okay,
I'm okay.
okay. So, other than the 18th, what day is good? Is the 17th?
Any
good?
day,
Any
any
other
day.
day?
Let's make
but
it
the
Any
18th?
day.
19th,
Dan?
19th.
Make it on the Monday in case there's snow by any chance and you have to go
Okay.
later in the week.
All right, so instead of the 18th, we'll go to 16th?
Monday the 16th.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
There'll be no snow, please, no snow.
No, I mean, it's not likely in December, but
We only
just-
have two snow days.
yeah.
All right, so when
Goes on
we
the
vote on
16th?
this resolution, it'll
On the
be the
16th?
16th instead of the 18th.
That's fine, that's
Okay?
fine.
All right,
16th, we all right? 16th?
all right, and we'll make sure we get Mr. Arrow
Yeah,
here.
that's fine.
Okay, second item, we're required to, as everyone knows, we did our testing of all the lead a couple of years ago, and they're gonna do it every 5 years, but we have to monitor that every year, and we have to give a reasonable, we have to do an assurance statement to the state that we did that testing, and that we're in compliance with the lead testing requirements, and we have done that, and this is the resolution to, the statement of assurance for the state that we have to send to them, just to ensure that we are in compliance with the lead testing requirements. Next item is the memorandum agreement that we have. We've had this for about 10 years now with the Hockey Parents Association. We have a joint hockey team. We have J.P. Stevens, Edison High School, and Metuchen actually is part of ours. The NJSAA has approved that. We have an agreement with the Parents Association where they actually pay us part of the costs. We will cover the costs of the transportation. We cover the cost for the coaches. We'll cover up to $16,000 of the rink time and $1,000 for equipment and uniforms.
Will Metuchen be donating anything to the cause?
Yes, they do.
Public-
Yes, yeah, they do pay us part.
The Board of
Based on the number of players they have, yes. So last year, the rink time was about 21,000, and we paid 16 of it, so the hockey parents came up with about 5,000 or 6,000. So it wasn't that significant, but this is the same agreement we've had for a number of years now. And if they add additional practices, which they've done in the past, they have to pay for those additional. We don't pay anything more than 16. Okay, next item. We have a special ed settlement agreement for a student that was filed on July 27th. This went through our attorney, and this was an agreement that they felt was fair for the district. So we'd like to have that approved for tonight also.
Dan, if I may,
ahead.
this resolution was presented to the board in June, and there's a typo in the reso that just needs to be corrected by this resolution.
Okay, so.
It's not a new settlement.
Oh, it's not a new, okay, so just a revision of an existing settlement we approved already, okay, all right. Was it the date that was changed?
Yes.
Okay, all right, gotcha. So July 27th, 2016 was the date. Evidently, last month's date was off. Okay, the next item we have is our co-curricular program for 2019-2020. We have a list of the co-curricular programs that we're proposing for next year. And that'll be for board approval tonight also. Includes the clubs, includes the athletic activities for the schools, intramurals, interscholastic, and co-curricular activities with the clubs and the,
Where is the cricket for the middle school? I thought we talked about intramural probably.
it's If it's not in here, we can always add it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we have a cricket,
Maybe they don't have the coaches and stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'm
we're
not sure
talking
about-
about it.
okay. But we can always add that at any time during the year.
Okay.
But for the time being, we'll go with it for the high schools.
Alright.
All right? Okay, the next item is the approval of the school hours, the same hours as last year. We just need board approval to approve those same hours. Next item is the program of instruction. We need to have that approved. This is for all grade levels, including special ed and preschool. And you can see that it's in your agenda. You can see what the actual times are and the requirements. We need board approval for that. We have one field trip that was actually run in the end of June, but we had an early meeting in June because we did it before the graduation. So even though this already took place, we need the board approval for the trip. It was 8 students and 3 advisors. And it was for Edison High School's track and field to attend the outdoor nationals in Greensboro, North Carolina. Next item is the professional development documentation for July. You'll see that there's a number, there's a couple of them in here for asbestos that are after the fact. Mr. Saxton did approve them in advance, but we had some trouble getting the dates that they were actually offering these. But I need my HERA team to be trained and have these certificates. So we're approving them at tonight's meeting. Under pupil special services, we have a list of 5. There are 2 that actually go back to last year. One is a credit for 5423 for home instruction, which we terminated at the end of May, so there's actually a savings to us. We have another one for May 23rd for $7,800, which was a new continuing placement for a student that came in from South Brunswick. And we have 3 for next year, one actually for the summer, that starts in the summer, and it's a settlement agreement, and we have 2 additional ones for next year for special education out of district. Under finance, we have a transfer of funds for the end of May. This is a pretty lengthy one, only because of the fact we're at the end of the year, and I have to make sure that all of our accounts are in the black. They can't be in the red legally. And you'll note there's a one really big one in here, which is a transportation for jointures for Ed Service Commission. I originally had budgeted $2.2 million in that for this year's budget. Unfortunately, the numbers that we're running, and we knew these were running way high, and I did increase next year's budget to this year's budget to $3 million, but the last one I had in for May was $342,000 just for 1 month. So I've been running way over in this line, and it's not, a couple of reasons. Special education students, the enrollments have gone up, but because of the CDL shortage of CDL licenses, the numbers we're getting from some of these contractors are astronomical, and we have to, because the IEP requires the transportation. We're going with the lowest one, but it's like 3-4 times what we expected it to be. And it's some of these contractors, some guys we've never even used before, but nobody else is putting a proposal in. So I do have a $655,000 transfer into that line, and I will have one more, because at this time, I didn't have the December bill, but I know that's over $200,000, so I'll probably have one more on Monday, the 29th, carry us right through the end of the year. The next one's good news, extraordinary aid, the reimbursement for special education. We got a notification from the state that we're gonna get $2.6 million for extraordinary aid. This is strictly for in-district students that exceed 40,000, out-of-district students that exceed 55,000. We send them for all of those students, and we get a percentage from the state of what we're getting is 2.6. The highest we ever had before was 2.2. So we have more special ed kids, the costs are higher, so the state's reimbursing us for more money, that's good news for us. We also receive non-public transportation aid, and we got our notification for that for this year, which is $232,000, which is roughly about the same as it was last year. We have one more depository I'd like to add on. First Bank came in to meet with me about investment purposes. They do indicate that they could give us a better interest rate than we're currently getting. So I want to add them as one of the options for me to go for investment purposes. And I need board approval to do that. So we'd like to add First Bank to our list. The FCCLA grant, that's the one for food service. FCCLA is a very popular program. We've had it for years, and as you know, when we have student recognition, we always take first place on almost everything. But it's for a grant for next year, and the same amount of money as we've had for the last several years, $146,500. I need board approval to submit it. And then once we get notification that we're approved, well, then we have to need another resolution to accept it. And as you know, Patricia Dora Laird is the state leader for that, so she's done a great job for us. And I don't think this would exist if she didn't decide, nobody else wants it. So she takes it every year, and she does a great job.
We'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, yep,
Dan,
Yes.
sometimes I notice in minutes that she has people working for her,
yes,
like per hour people.
yes.
Do they come under any of our contracts, or do they specifically just work?
They strictly work for her under the FCCLA grant, and they're not full-time employees. They're hourly people on
So
an
we don't have
as-needed
to pay them
basis.
any kind of benefits?
No benefits, just an hourly rate, that's all.
And do they have to, the people that work for her, do they have to go through the same process of being interviewed by our general, like Margaret? Or is that something that Mrs. DeJoya Laird can just,
In the past, she's given us the names of the people who are willing to take the hourly rate she's offering,
okay,
and we had them approved on the agenda. I don't remember ever going through an interview process with them before.
But
But not to say we don't have to. I mean, we can if we want to, sure.
but they have to be fingerprinted and
That if they,
researched?
if they work
And who pays
with
for that?
students, anything,
Does her
criminal
grant pay
history
for that
checks.
also?
Criminal history checks are done by the employee. Criminal history checks to
So
pay,
we don't pay for that at all?
not for criminal history checks, no. They're
But then
required.
she can hire if she deems necessary, and how does that get to you?
It goes through
Margaret or
personnel.
whomever?
Yeah, Margaret puts it on the future agenda whenever those people are agreed to be hired.
Is Margaret still here?
Yeah, she's back here.
Margaret, now, if she calls you to hire somebody, you just automatically put it on the agenda, or do you go through any kind of process with her?
It's her recommendation, and she would be working with the person, so it's paid through the grant, it's not district funds.
Okay, because I was just wondering what affiliation, especially now with security, do they have any more? Because I just remember years and years ago when I was a food shopper, but I worked for the district,
Right.
I didn't know where that money was coming from.
Well, food shoppers, we do pay for the food
Right.
shoppers, because that's.
We
the-
pay for the food shopper,
Yes,
even though it's through the
but that's.
That's not
FCS
FCC,
That's
department.
part of our consumer science program. That's a curriculum item.
It's a
not-
separate
That's
thing.
not part of the grant.
Okay, so part of the grant, Mrs. DeJoya Laird would just tell you or Margaret, I need help, so I'm
Secretarial
gonna
help,
hire this
clerical help,
person.
correct.
And I
That's
can
right.
tell them now.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't
Yep.
sure how that worked. Thank you.
Okay. Next item, I have a couple of cooperatives, federal cooperatives.
They're not our employees.
Correct.
Right.
I just didn't know, when he was talking about the grant, what filter is there?
We have a couple of federal cooperative purchasing agreements that we'd like to join. They don't cost us anything, but it gives us more options to be able to purchase off of these federal grants as opposed to going out for our own bids. For a lot of these contractors that work with these, don't have a state contract, but some of them do go through Ed Data, some of them go through the Ed Service Commission, but some of them go through these federal grants, these federal cooperatives. And said, does it cost us anything? I'd like to have the option to be able to purchase off these federal cooperatives, but I need board approval just to join those, to participate with those. So I have Sourcewell Federal Cooperative is one I'd like to recommend, and also NASP, which used to be the old WISCA, Western Union's Contracting Alliance. We were part of that, but they changed their name, and even though we don't have to do it again, I'd rather have the name, the current name in one of our resolutions. So there's no question when the orders come in that we were part of it, okay?
That's you, Dan.
Next item is a $1,400 grant that that Walmart was willing to give to us for J.P. Stevens. And they'd like to have a refillable water station at Edison High School on the second floor. They have one on the first floor already. And Walmart was willing to give us the $1,400 for us to actually get that for Stevens, which is nice. We'd like to give them credit for that.
This is just the equipment, or this is include the installation? Our folks will still install them, right?
Yes, yep. Next item is the rebid for the, remember when we bid our athletic events, the We had 7 routes that were not bid on at all. We rebid it, and it's listed on your agenda. 6 of the 7 were bid this time for a reasonable amount of money. It wasn't too bad. I was expecting it to be higher. But we still have 1 route. For some reason or other, this Thomas Jefferson route, nobody wants it. This is the second time we went out. Now that we bid it twice and had no bidders, now we can negotiate a contract. So we will have coverage for it for September, but I have to negotiate a contract with somebody to take that route. For some reason, I'm not sure what the problem is with it, but we do have to have it covered, obviously. Item number 10 is this is through Educational Data, our purchasing cooperative that we currently are a part of for athletic supplies, in the amount of $70,000 for all of the listed amounts. These go through Ed Data. Their job is to go out to bid for us, and they don't just do it for us, they do it for 247 districts are part of this. So what they do is they take all the volumes of all these districts and put it in one pot, and then they bid that, so it's a huge number. So the discounts we get are astronomical, so, and they always give it to the lowest one. That's why you see a number of different vendors here. They give it to the lowest vendor in every instance. Item
Is
number
that
11.
like Cascade?
Cascade, yes. Cascade does the general supplies for the most part, yes. Number 11 is the cooperative bid for the family consumer science supplies. Number 12 is for the fine art supplies, also through Ed Data. Number 13 is for the general supplies. There you see Cascade right there for $23,725. Cooperative bid number 14 is for health and trainer supplies. Number 15 is for library supplies. Number 16 is for lumber supplies. This is for our industrial arts program. Cooperative bid for math supplies. Cooperative bid for office computer supplies. For science supplies, that's a fairly good size one, $16,000. Teaching aid supplies, technology supplies for $8,400. And that covers all of the ones we have to approve. We did have some of these last month also, but these are additional ones that came in after our last board meeting, so we have to have the board approve these also. We have another cooperative we'd like to join. It's the Purchasing Cooperative America. It's another one that doesn't cost us anything. So this means we'll be in about 6 or 7 right now federal cooperatives. Gives me a lot more options to purchase off of these, and it speeds things up, and it saves you the money of having to put out your own bid.
Sorry, Dan, how do you find all these places? Or do they find
Most of the
you?
time, when I get a proposal from someone in the district, and they give me, and if it's over the $6,000 quote law, I ask them, how are you purchasing this? Is this a contract? Do you get me a second quote? And usually what happens is they go back and ask them, do you have a state contract? Are you part of a cooperative? And most of the time they say, well, I'm part of a federal cooperative, in this case, this one. And they say, well, if there's no cost to join it, I will have a resolution for the board to approve it. That way I can purchase off of that. And that's basically how I find out.
Thank you.
Okay? The state gave us our numbers for non-public nursing. We're gonna get $199,238 in total, $97 a student. These are for all non-public schools. We don't get any of this, since this is where they send me a copy of the POs in advance, and it comes out of these funds. We have to handle it all, but we don't get a dime for it, but this is for non-public schools only. Okay, so the nursing is $199,238. We have also non-public textbook aid in the amount of $106,370. We have non-public technology aid in the amount of $72,648. And we have non-public security aid in the amount of $308,100. So we have to have the board approve accepting those funds, even though there's an entitlement to the non-public schools, but we have to have board approval to accept those funds. Non-public nursing is there's a list here of all the schools. You can see how lengthy the list is. There must be 25 different non-public schools. We have more non-public schools here than most other districts do. And each one of these are entitled a part of those funds. So we have to list which ones are gonna actually share in the nursing services. And all of this stuff is handled through the Ed Service Commission. So they're the ones who send us the actual purchase orders. Next item we have is the dual-use classrooms. Anytime we have a classroom that's used for more than one purpose, in a lot of instances, because we don't have enough classrooms, we actually separate a room and we use it partially for speech, partially for small group instructions, or other, mostly special ed services, and we need county approval to do that. So the board has to approve the use for the dual use, and we also have to send it to the county office, and they are coming down actually next week to review the dual-use classrooms and the substandard classroom, which is the next item. And our substandard classrooms are our trailers. We have trailers at Adams Intermediate School, James Madison Intermediate, Stevens, Lincoln, and Marshall. So every year, we have to put them down to substandard rooms. The county sends someone out and reviews the compliance to make sure we're in compliance with all these state requirements. And then they give us approval. And the way it's supposed to work is you have up to 3 years to find a place to replace them. And if you have a plan in place, they'll give you up to 5 years. But they have not been holding us to that, because otherwise we would have had to get rid of some of these a long time ago.
Dan, my daughter was in the trailers at John Adams.
Yeah.
And she's
20 years ago?
gonna be 27.
They will be gone once we have the whole thing. You
Yes.
know. We don't, me per se don't like the
Yeah,
trailers.
so we did discuss with the county office our problem with the trailers. They want to know how we're, and you'll note, we do put here as the action need is seeking alternate classroom space. But without any other space to use, we have to use the trailer. So they've been letting us go on that, obviously. Non-public security aid, these are some of the POs that came in from Ed Service Commission for the non-public monies that we received that I just read off to you. We have one for non-public school security aid. It's for Helping Hands Nursery for $554. We also have some for the Technology Initiative Program, which is non-public also. As you can see, they're listed here. There's 2 schools listed here for that. Then we have number 32, which is obsolete items. We have a list of, there's 6 schools here that gave us a list of obsolete items. One of them is actually Bishop Art, so it's not public school. But we have to also do that too. Even when they have obsolete materials, our board has to approve them to be obsoleted to get rid of them. So we have a list of some items here.
Yeah,
Not-
that's
not
why I
a
had
lot.
to underline and say why it had nothing to do with us.
No, I know, but non-public textbook money is being used, and since we're in charge of
okay.
ordering it, we also have to approve obsoleting it,
Okay.
okay? And transportation is the last item. You can see it's a pretty long list. The bid awards that we had from the previous bid we had, and it's the lowest bidder. And this covers, except for that one route that I have, or any new special ed routes that may come up between now and the opening of school, we have everything covered,
That's fantastic.
okay? And that concludes our report.
Thank you. All right, so now we went through all the items, so we're gonna open up for public for these resolutions only. Yes.
Matt Revnak, ETA Vice President to Ethel Road. Just on the co-curricular activities, there's 2 missing from the high school program, FBLA and FCCLA. They were moved to co-curricular 2 years ago.
Okay, which one were they?
FBLA,
F-
Future Business Leaders of America,
Okay,
and the FCCLA.
okay.
Right, those should both be under co-curricular, they're not clubs. They haven't been for 2 years.
They're listed under clubs now?
They're listed, they used to
In
be
here?
in the prior contract.
Okay.
In this contract, now those 2 are co-curricular.
Okay, gotcha, all right.
Okay.
Yep,
And the other thing I just want to address, because Mr. Shi brought up about the cricket, I also was looking for that as well. And back in June, I believe it was June 12th, we had an athletic committee meeting that we have every 3 years.
yeah,
And the athletic directors mentioned at that time, first of all, cricket's not an NJSIAA recognized sport at this time, so it can't be considered a sport. They explained to it would be more like an intramural, so maybe that's why, the reason why it's not listed here or whatever.
Okay.
But that's the way it was explained. In fact, Dan, I believe I did send you a copy of the minutes. I know I did to Mr. Saxon as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So it should be in there the way they explained it.
okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members for resolutions only? Resolutions only. See none? Okay, so let's move on to voting these items. So I always do the personnel separately, so can I have a motion to vote on the personnel report with, we all know we excluded those 3 items, okay? Okay, Mr. Brescher, second? Okay, Mrs. Maroney?
Dr. Chen,
Yes.
Mrs. Conway,
Yes.
Mrs. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Brescher,
Yes.
Mrs. Peng,
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney,
Yes?
Mrs. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Shi.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, now we move on for the remaining of the items. So we have the administration, the meeting dates, we all talked, we are adjust the meeting date as we discussed. The lead testing, the memorandum of agreement with the ice hockey Parents Association, settlement with the student, the co-curricular programs, mentioned that we're gonna add a couple of things, missing items, instruction, program instruction, school hours, field trip, professional development, out-of-district placement, and our finance resolution. So items from admin, curriculum instructions, pupil and pupil, special services, and finance. Can I have a resolution on that? Okay, Mr. Brescher, second. Mrs. Conway.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, so we have 3 committee reports, but today we're just gonna do one, the policy committee. There are some work submission needs to be done for the finance and facility and transportation. Those reports will be shared with the public next Monday. So, Mrs. Patel, the policy committee?
The policy committee met on Friday, June 28th at 10 a.m. at the Board of Education building. Participants were Paul Saxton, Yuna Chen, Richard Brescher, Teresa Ward, Hope Blackburn, and myself. The committee reviewed all the mandatory and optional recent policy changes that were proposed by Strauss Esme. The committee also discussed the current hiring policy the district has in place. Additionally, we discussed potentially changing our policy to request that the board receive a 30 to 60-day notice of all professional service contract expirations, so that the entire board could have an opportunity to evaluate their performance and to make an informed decision if the contract should be extended. Lastly, we discussed looking into creating a uniform graduation policy in relation to student dismissal and meeting again sometime in August.
Okay, thank you. So the upcoming meetings, as I mentioned, next Monday, we're gonna have our meeting again here at 6 o'clock. The following meeting is in August 26th. It's 6 o'clock. It's in the center again. So both of these meetings are combined meetings. So I hope next time we're gonna do better with the closed sessions, okay? All right, so now we move on. Board member comments, open discussion. Any board members, any comments? Okay, yeah, Mr. Brescher.
Yes, somebody sent me an email today. They were looking for an update. And I haven't had time to ask Ramon, but I guess it was probably around the beginning of February or January that we noticed that we had these clothing bins. Like there were 2 at the North Edison Library, there's 2 at the Polanski Park,
Yeah,
which
you
is
told us
about
how
200 yards
bad it
away.
is, yeah.
And then there's one at J.P. Stevens, which is another 200 yards away. And I came here today, in fact, and I looked in our parking lot.
Yeah, you go look at it.
And there was like 2 pickup trucks worth of debris outside the bins. And I've been talking to our attorney about getting these bins removed from, from our schools, because I just don't see why we have to have them every 200 yards in the town. But I was told that we signed a contract for 10 years, which we can't by law.
We can.
I was also told that it was approved, yet the board never approved it. So I asked the attorney if he can get these bins removed. And I wonder if you can give us an update, or is it better if we just hire someone else that can handle this? I mean, is this?
I can give you an update.
Okay,
So we sent a notice to the owner or of who's controlling the bins in the last 2 weeks and advised that the bins need to be removed and that there's an illegal contract. We're waiting for him to get back to us. The deadline was this week. We're gonna now send another notice advising that the bins need to be removed, or we will remove them and place them in storage, pending him picking them up or filing an action to have them enforced and be there. We do agree that there is no legitimate contract in place based upon the fact that it was not approved by the board. However, we cannot engage in just self-help and take the bins away and destroy them. We do have to give him an opportunity to come and pick them up. Initially, when we were tasked with this item, we were told to contact the owner and see if there was a way to work it out where they would come and pick it up. They've not been responsive to our reaching out to them, so now we're going to take action to advise that the board will have them removed, since he has not complied with our directive to clean them up and maintain them as per the board's request.
Okay, so by August 15th, they'll be removed from our property?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, those things are very annoying. Okay, any other board member comments? Okay. See, now I'm gonna have a couple of things I want to mention. So, one is, it was a sadness that we were informed of the passing of Mr. Joseph Nino, a custodian at J.P. Stevens High School. Joe was a respected and valued employee of the Edison Board of Education for 21 years and is missed by his colleagues, friends, and devoted family. Rest in peace, Joe. Okay. So he passed away on July 4th, unfortunately. Just some other things I want to mention, that I got a couple emails from parents regarding the registration. So I want to encourage the parents to use the online registration that we just developed this school year, to save some time of coming into the school district, filling all the forms, just come in for one trip instead of coming multiple trips. And once you fill the forms, you register, you will have ID, will help moving things along. It's much easier for that. So please take advantage of that. The other thing that I have seen some postings on Facebook about the modular classrooms we have, about these trailer look buildings in JMP and Woodrow Wilson. Those are our modular classrooms. Actually, each piece is 2 classrooms, but it's only half. So when they put together, they will put 2 pieces together to put 2 classrooms. And if you look at inside the windows, you will see the walls has been done, the doors are there, and the hallways, and also even the door with the keys on it. And the power plugs, they're all there. So we hope that the 2 vendors, one is SSP, the other is USA Architect, they can get everything assembled before the new school year. The FDR building, we're gonna set it up. Once we set up, we're gonna free up probably 5 to 7 classrooms from the other schools, where right now the students, they were supposed to be in FDR, but we don't have room, so they're being allocated to some of the other schools. Once they move back in September, we'll be freeing up some classroom in those schools, so that will help a little bit with the overcrowding in those schools. And the other thing that folks been asking is about the superintendent search. We have probably 57 applicants that applied for the position. We have been there are probably close to 20 of the applicants are either sitting superintendent or sitting assistant superintendents. They are still going out to recruit some candidates from the high-performing schools. The plan is to start the interviewing process sometime in September. So I hope at the end of December we can have some final candidates at least. So that's just an update. Okay. And that's it from the board side. So now we're open for public comments. Yes?
Anthony Diamond, 15 Rodex Circle. First of all, 2 just quick points. Monday is the big budget meeting for the town council. I'm really disappointed that there's a school board meeting and a town council, the mayor's big budget presentation. I know some of us are looking forward to seeing this budget presentation, but we can't be at 2 places at one time. Hopefully going forward, we could do a better job scheduling. I know I'm like
You mentioned it
a
twice
break- a
before.
broken
yes.
record.
Yeah.
These meetings are just, it's
And
crazy.
our photographers can work out.
I spoke to the gentleman.
Yes.
We spoke before the meeting.
Yes.
He gave me some encouraging news that it's supposed to be rolled out hopefully in August. So I'm happy to get this, the live streaming down. Also, the Edison Jets cheerleaders, they are looking for a spot to store their mats and do some. I know they used Herbert Hoover last year.
Okay.
They're really at a breaking point right now. They don't even know if they could actually get their program up and running for this year because they need a place to store and a place to practice inside safely. So if maybe somebody, I know, Rich, you've reached out to Dana as well. You're working on it, but they really are in danger of not being able to perform this year. So if somebody could reach out to Dana LaPenta, she's in charge of the Edison Jets cheerleaders.
You send us the email. Send an email for the contact. So we
Okay.
can follow
Yeah, I
up.
definitely will.
So they want to use the gym.
They just need a safe place to practice and to store mats, right, Rich?
Yeah, you know what it is, they were using Hoover.
Yes.
Something happened between our physical education department, I guess, at Hoover, or the athletic director, or something like that, where they said they didn't want to have them there any longer. I sent an email to Paul, but Paul was out all week.
Sure.
He's been sick. The thing is that they have only a couple weeks till their season starts.
Okay.
They don't necessarily need Hoover. They just need
A place, yeah.
a school on the south side.
Indoor.
They used Hoover last year. I know
indoor.
that,
They
so-
want an indoor facility.
Yeah, safe
Yes.
indoor facility. So she would know better, Dana.
They
but,
have mats, like a
yeah.
wrestling mat that you
Yeah.
roll up,
Yeah.
that the kids, they practice on so they don't get hurt type of thing.
Okay.
So if we can just find them space, and I mean, we have how many schools on the south side? 8?
We only have one.
Right, we need one. So, right, I'm hoping that Paul kind of, comes in. I don't know who else we could go to. It'd be the athletic director, I think.
Go to Gail.
Oh,
Gail.
Gail's on big, she's out.
She should be. When she comes back?
back today.
Oh, she'll come back today? Oh, look at that, okay.
It's gonna go to her anyway. So
Okay.
yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Jerry. The other concern is I was going to jump on to the superintendent. It's been way overdue. Listen. There's been board members that have made promises that there'd be a superintendent. Honestly, I don't have to. I don't want.
I did not.
One in particular.
That's
not
why
here
he's
today.
here. That's why he's not here.
today.
He knew you were gonna come
So,
and talk about that.
It's important that listen, we can't do anything without a superintendent, honestly. Somebody that's gonna lead our district in the next, into the next decade. So, and also, there's no principal at JP Stevens. So, that needs to be, we're going into August, so I don't know what the lagging is, but hopefully that's resolved fast. I don't know if you have a plan, Jerry, for hiring a principal, but.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Right before the meeting, we were in that room.
all right, I will.
We'll continue.
I lost last year, so I wasn't in that meeting.
Yeah. So believe me, we will have a principal, before the new school starts. Yeah.
All right, very good, thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any other public comments? Yes.
Hi, Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson. I'm part of the Edison High PTSO community. Also, I have a daughter that's a senior. So I'm looking on these other school websites, and I noticed that they have listings. Woodbridge has listings of scholarships that are available. And I'm wondering, can we have something, please? I know we have 600, how many seniors coming in 2020? And I'd like to have the information available for them so it's easier for them so they could send out the application to know what dates the application should be sent in, what they're looking for. I know for required reading, they're supposed to be writing essays. And I think this week coming up, the library is offering free classes to the seniors that they can do their essays and they're required, which I appreciate that. My other questions are, do we know what the total enrollment is for the school system currently?
Not yet, because usually towards the end of August, you have a big bunch of you know, a crowd coming in, so, you know, as of last month, we have 16,700 and change. So I'm pretty sure the number is gonna go up.
How are the overcrowding task force recommendations going forward?
So we, well, that you brought up a good point, that we mentioned about the bond referendum in the past. So when did we get approved? We got approved pretty late, right then?
Yes.
So we are not looking for a referendum in September as we originally planned. So now the referendum day is gonna be, we're looking at December, and especially, you know, with the township have a special election in September, we probably wanna separate from them as well. So, right now, the target is to have a referendum in December. If I remember, the date is December 10th.
10th, right.
Yes. So there will be more information coming out, more reaching out when the new school starts. So right now, it's the summertime, not a lot of people around. So when the new school starts, we're gonna, you know, kick off the campaign.
And there'll be a lot of traffic on Jackson, because in August, we have the 220 apartments that are gonna be opening up. I had a discussion with some of the residents that are on Jackson, and one of the main issues we're getting was the buses. They feel that there's buses at Herbert Hoover that also would impede on the traffic. Are there any plans to move the buses to other schools that possibly would have traffic lights and lessen the traffic flow on Jackson besides the new apartments coming in?
Are you talking about the bus depot? We have it over there,
Yeah.
then?
We talked about possibly putting a bus depot over by the round building. So now we're putting the modular classrooms in there. We do have some property behind the first aid squad over there.
Where's that?
That's right.
That's in JMP.
Okay.
Up in North End. We have a fenced-in area in parking lot right now. We wanted to try to get it out of there because it's taking up parking places for the staff. But we have to try to work that out because it's very high, and we're worried about runoff running into a parking lot. So we're trying to work out the logistics of that, so that is our fallback plan right now.
Okay. Well, would you be doing that temporarily to see how that runs?
So if we do it,
Look out
probably
the
gonna-
space.
it's gonna probably cost us some money, so we're probably gonna do it. If it's gonna be a permanent fix.
Permanent thing? Okay. Thank you,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, the other thing that, you know, about the traffic over there, I did have conversation with Councilman Joe Coyle there. Yeah, so, you know, about that road behind the school, what is it, Little Road?
Little Avenue.
Yeah, so, might be able to do something with that, but I need some commitment from the township as well. So, you know, so that's something that, yeah,
And
yes.
regarding scholarships,
Yes.
your daughter,
Yeah, then you
she
have, we
needs to
have,
be adamant about going to
scholarship.
guidance,
Scholarship for,
because there
Getting list
are-
of scholarships.
When we have the scholarship
If we can
senior
have
awards
like a whole-
night, there are pages and
Yeah, we'll probably
pages.
get you that too.
They just need to be adamant about going
I know about those.
to
Guidance.
their counselors to see what's available. I know they make
Okay.
announcements, but there's plenty of, like, for instance, a scholarship
just
that
sent
I
you this
deal
one.
with. Last year, we had 14 applicants to our
Okay.
scholarship.
For two, 14 for two, yeah.
And at JP Stevens, there was 14 and there was 22 at Edison High.
Oh, I thought the total was
So
14. Wow.
there are scholarships out there. I would just make her very annoying to and fill them out, just keep filling them out, because there's always a chance. But there are plenty of scholarships out there. Just make her go in. And Mrs. Conway said so.
Yeah, the guidance counselors, they will provide a lot of help for that. All right, so any other, yes?
Susan Campione, 8 Schiffer Court. First, I'm glad to hear the dumpsters are going, because there's one at Linden now also, and you
It's
couldn't even
everywhere.
walk on the path to
Every
the
school.
playground. It
Every
was,
school,
it
the
was a dump, it
multiples
was
in
a
every
dumping
school.
ground, broken stuff, everything, so that's good. But the reason that I'm here, mentioned it about the special election, September 10th.
Yes.
So there's always been discussions, and there was a big discussion about closing school on Election Day because having the kids in school during elections. And this was a question that I had at the meeting that was decided, with all referendum elections coming up. But this was something the town couldn't get their act together, and now they just decided to do this election for the petition. So are they gonna pay for security? Because obviously now, at this point, you're not gonna close the schools. So what, are we gonna cooperate with them, or are they gonna cooperate with us? They didn't check with you before I know there was some suggestions to do it the day the teachers are in, so that at least the kids wouldn't be there, and they didn't wanna do that. So who's gonna pay?
We could probably bill them. Not that they would pay, but we could probably bill them.
We have no problem bidding them, whether we get the money or not, that's a different story.
I had asked them at the meeting if they were going to pay versus,
Mm-hmm.
and they just looked at one another and never
Yes, they-
answered me.
I mean, we keep talking about cooperation between the board and the town. You know, if they just came up with this election and there has to be security in the schools, what about the deal we have with the Class 3 officer, well, this other stuff? I don't know. I mean,
Good question. So, we
Well,
don't have an answer.
all right, I mean, so, but then you're gonna have to
Absolutely,
put
yeah.
security in, right? Because it's a,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, so we'll discuss it.
I mean, with the referendums, the plan, if the first one doesn't pass, it's gonna be 3 elections, and then this election, and, well, hopefully, but,
one.
I mean, we all hope that, but, you know, it starts adding up to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comments? All right.
Wait.
Yes, Carol. Carol.
Okay, my speech is a little shorter now. Carol Badowski, 39 Jonathan Drive, for anyone in town that doesn't know that. My speech is a little shorter because someone already talked about Election Day safety, the superintendent search, the principal at JP Stevens, and relief from overcrowding. So I want to bring up the elephant in the room, since Dan did announce in the legal statement that you would possibly be discussing school security in your closed session. And it seems that we're getting ready, and any teachers in the room, you can cover your ears, for the approaching school year. Where do we stand at this point on security? And that's just a rhetorical question. I know that it was listed that that was the reason for the closed session, and we have all waited very patiently out here, because you discussed it, I know, quite a long time. But the clock is counting down, and teachers, you can cover your ears again, before opening day. I, for one, really want to know that we have a viable plan in place to ensure the safety of our schools, our students, and our staff. And time is running out, so I think we really need to decide something and accomplish something. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have, a signed agreement with the township, so that is, in fact, taking effect right now. But, yeah, there are other discussions going on, so we'll continue to discuss what's the best way to, protect our kids and our staff in the school district. Okay? All right? Yes?
All right, it's many things I want to talk about.
Yeah, name and address, please.
Christo, 14 Fox Road. You had mentioned the trailers for special education being
Huh?
the trailers for special education.
That's modular classrooms.
They're really pieces of a modular classroom. It's not a trailer.
I know,
It's
the
an
one.
upgrade.
Let me tell you something. You stab a pencil through that wall, it goes right through.
No, it doesn't.
It did when I was there.
Well,
So-
that's, you have the other half, which is covered by plastic. When the two halves are combined together, it'll be one classroom.
Okay, I
And
just
there
want to
will be
make sure.
siding on the sides that, it's not what you see right now. The
All right.
siding, on the side is just for transportation.
All right. Well, take care of the special education
Absolutely.
students.
That's why that's
All
the
right.
number one thing that we're doing.
Okay. Number one, I want to bring up, there's a lot of things I want to bring up. You know, lies are like milk. It always has an expiration date. Ms. Peng, you're coming up for re-election. You don't know how to send blast emails. You mentioned that at the committee of the whole, so don't look, you know.
Excuse me, sir, this is not the right forum to talk about committee as a whole. If you want to talk about committee as a
Okay,
whole, let's
I'll
go to committee
continue.
as a whole.
I'll continue. I'm just saying, I feel she's not qualified for re-election. I'm
That's
allowed
your
to say
opinion.
that. This is America. About the racial flyers. I'm a lifelong Edison resident, and I'm disgraced about the racial flyers because this is a community that we accept everybody. Okay? Whoever was behind those racial flyers, I hope they go to jail. I noticed you never testified at the committee of the
I'm
whole.
just going to interrupt you for a second. The point of this meeting is to discuss issues related to the Board of Education and issues concerning
But
education.
This
so-
is.
Okay.
This
your
is
comment.
public comment section. I didn't come to the first comment section. I came to the public comment section.
But let's
So
not-
if I may continue,
That's not
May-
the right
may I
forum for
continue?
that. Yeah, you can continue, but
Okay,
I'm
thank
telling you
you.
that's not the right forum for this discussion. And
Well-
this- Okay.
okay. So New Jersey passed a law that they're gonna teach LGBTQ history, and I don't want that in elementary schools. Let a child grow up and decide what they want to be first. And also, I don't want any drag queens showing up to our schools, especially the elementary schools, like they showed up in Harlem, Channel 4, check it out. I noticed, Miss Elizabeth Conway, you're very passionate at what you do. I'm gonna vote for you.
I'm not running.
Well, you should run again. You should run for something higher. Yeah, I mean, I've never been so disgraced in my life. I mean, just to send these flyers out, intimidate residents in this community, just so a few people in here can get reelected, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I mean, don't look at me like that. I don't need a lawyer to speak for me. I came up here alone. If you notice, I don't even have anything. This is just talking points. You know, you're the one who sits next to the lawyer. Will you be coming to the committee of the whole? Because I've been waiting. Okay, you won't talk. You're going to waste my 6 minutes. Ms. Pang, how can you...
You asked through the chair.
No.
You asked
This is
through
a
the
different
chair.
question.
You
This is
asked
a
through
different
the chair,
question.
Yes, you asked through the chair, that's a protocol.
Okay, I would like to ask Ms. Pang, how is she qualified to run again, and you can't even send a blast email when elementary school students can do this? I mean, and I
She doesn't
asked
have
that
to
through
answer
you.
your question.
Well, let her answer first.
I'm
I
gonna-
asked
I'm
through
gonna
the
tell
chair,
her-
and she can say she
I'm
doesn't
gonna-
want to
I'm gonna tell
answer.
her that you
Would
don't
you
have
like
to
to
answer
answer
the-
or no?
I'm gonna tell her you don't have to answer the question if you don't want to.
You're speaking for her. Let her say no.
Yeah.
All right, so,
What are you so afraid of, Mr. Sheik?
listen, you're free to make your comments. You can make all the comments you want. Board members do not have to answer your question.
I understand
The
that, but
president-
I
the
did not come
president
here to
run-
disgrace anybody.
No, just, you make your comment, but you're not able to cross-examine
I'm not
board
cross-examining
members and
anybody.
demand, you are, though. You're demanding her that she answer your question.
I didn't demand. I was waiting
can
for
ask
her to
all the
say
questions
yes or
you want,
no.
and
And,
she does-
and Mr. She
She
spoke
doesn't
up
have
for
to
her.
answer them, and if she doesn't want to, she doesn't have to.
But she didn't even say yes or no. Mr. She just jumped right in there and
Because he's
said
the
no
board
for
president, he
her.
runs the meeting.
I'm running the meeting.
First, you told me to ask a question through
me.
you,
Correct.
and she has a decision, yes or no to answer. You didn't even give her a choice.
I am telling her what her choices are.
You're gonna tell her. So you're the supreme
that's
leader
what I-
in here.
No, I just told her that's what her choices are.
You didn't
That's-
even
that's
give
how-
her. I gave her a choice, yes or no, to answer a question. You didn't want her to answer
Answer
the
your
question.
questions. If you have
Okay.
another question, answer them.
I can.
Answer them.
How are you qualified to run if you can't send a blast email, but children in elementary school can?
What do you mean by blast email?
Blast
When
email.
did I say what?
No, there should be no back and forth. Ask all your questions, and if the board wishes to respond, any member wishes to respond.
Well,
they can.
she was asking me a question.
Just make your comment.
You know what I mean by blast email? I mean by sending email to more than one person
That's
on
not
your
a
friends
blast
list.
email. That's not a blast email. A blast
Well-
email is sending emails to thousands and 10,000 people.
Oh, is that so? At the committee of the whole, you said you didn't even know what it was, or how to do
I
it?
didn't say that. You can look
Okay.
at the video and confirm.
Okay, no, I was there. I was there to witness it. And your lawyer was horrible.
I'm not sure you understand.
But get a better lawyer. And that's about it.
Okay, your time's up, thank you.
My time is up after you wasted almost half of it.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I'm not thanking you. Because I know who is part of sending the racial flyers, and half of them are in here, and you should be disgraced. This community
Okay,
has
time
been,
is up.
this community has been open to everybody for all my life. Maybe older generations,
time
it's
is up.
different. But in my generation, we accepted everybody. And for you to send out racial flyers
Sir,
just to
please,
get
please,
seats on this
please,
board
you must
is
respect our
despicable,
rules. You
and
must respect our
I'll
rules.
respect the
Please,
rules.
we're
I
asking.
want an apology for the
we're-
Edison community.
We're asking you to respect
I
our
just want an
rules, and
apology
please,
for the community of Edison.
we have a 6-minute rule. We ask that everyone adhere to it, and please observe our rules.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments? See now, can I have a motion for the meeting to be adjourned? You have one? Okay, go.
Robert Szilagyi, representing Szilagyi Contracting, a contractor for USA Architects at the FDR School. I understand there were a lot of concerns over these units when they'll be done. Unfortunately, BOE Township doesn't always get along. We were supposed to start back in spring. Contractors are working very hard with the overtime and whatnot, which wasn't included in the contract, which you guys will find out eventually. These units surpass the 100-year storm rules and the state laws and regulations they have to follow, and we do expect to be open in September. And that was it. September.
Thank you, thank you.
They'll at least be set.
Well, open. The people can move in. Yeah, we did need to get some help from the township side to push for the permit to go through, and for that. Well, just let us know, because we were able to get, Rich was able to help with the Woody Wilson, and we have the Special Assistant to Mayor Mahesh Bhalia. He was able to help with the FDR. So let us know, okay?
We were originally, my purchase order was signed.
Our original contract was supposed to start at the spring break, where the new budget takes into effect, the state budgets and whatnot. But unfortunately, we just started breaking ground less than 3 weeks ago with rain setbacks.
Yeah, hope no more.
A lot of
rain.
weather
That's I spoke to one of the guy at the FDR the other day. He was saying, please, no more rain. I said, yeah, I agree with you.
We're working through the rain.
Yes, yes. And we have some issues with the soil, and you see the
Right.
the stones and stuff. That's to
And we're strictly the site contractor. The
Yeah.
modulars are totally separate from us,
Yeah.
but a lot of soil issues with as far as the dumping before EPA said no dumping back in the 80s. But
All right.
that's it.
All right, thank you. Yeah, keep up whatever you're doing. Keep up the good work. Let's get the school opened in time. Yes,
Just a question, I'm really
Liz.
thankful.
Liz.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
No.
I was about to ask a question, if we could get someone to come and give us periodic updates on what's going on, so I'm really glad that you stepped up.
They have a better chance with USA Architects. Like I said, I'm just representing the site contractor and whatnot, but
No,
that'd be about it. I know they put up a time-lapse camera. I'm not sure if you guys have access to that, or that was set up by you guys? or who that was
Normally,
set up by.
when we have our construction, we do set up a camera on that. So all the two construction that we had recently, we had the camera set up. So I would assume this one's the same thing that we set it up. So people.
Is
can
there
go look.
public access to that, or what's the
I
access?
think so.
to that?
Right?
No, we wouldn't.
The camera.
I'm not sure.
You don't allow public access to any of our cameras.
No, just.
It's just
for
a
the
time-lapse
time-lapse.
construction
I think
camera
last
on
time we
FDR
had
We
it.
used to have it on our website.
Yeah, we used to have it on our website. So, yeah, we'll look into it. So, hope the time lapse will go very fast.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just to answer Elizabeth's question, that on the finance facility report, which Rich didn't go, that actually had an update from USA and SSP on those two modular buildings.
So we'll get that next
You will
week.
get it on Monday, yes.
Yeah, just,
So-
there were a couple modifications that I need Dan to make before.
Good.
Yeah, we're on their back, so, all right. So, no public comments. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Closed session.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes, we, correct, all right. Sorry, forgot. Yeah, we need to go back to closed session to discuss some of the business we did not finish and some additional things, so Dan.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. We're going to have attorney-client privilege discussion regarding the SLEO and the security contract. And we're also going to be discussing some additional personnel matters. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter should be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. And 4, that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
All right, can I have a motion? Okay, Mrs. Conway?
It's my night for motions, Tara.
Mr. Maroney?
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
We don't expect to come back, so see you guys next Monday. Have a good night.